What is the story behind the eyeglasses initiative of Live?
People can't see.
People can't see.
We want to make everyone be able to see.
We look at it as an opportunity. Why Africa? It's an amazing place. There's so much talent. There's so many opportunities. There's so much going on in the social sector. When we look at East Africa, it's such a great entry point. West Africa, we see nothing but opportunity.
For us is 5 times the philanthropic investment. If it costs you $100 per participant in your program, then over the period of 5 years, we would like to see that participant earning 500 more on top of what they were already earning before joining the organization.
So given your experiences working for implementing organizations and now for fund, knowing what it's like on the other side of the table, what do you think donors could be doing better?
There are lots of things donors.
We have time.
Where to start?
Hello, this is Talk Giving to Me, Segal Family Foundation show featuring conversations with peer funders. My name is Sylvia Ilahuka from Segal Family Foundation. We're an award-winning social impact funder and advisor. We invest in visionary local African leaders and support progressive donors to do the same. Today, I am in Arusha, Tanzania, in the company of the lovely ladies from Livelihood Impact Fund. We have Monica Swai, Program Manager, and Jana Kinsey, Chief Strategy Officer and Portfolio Head. Livelihood Impact Fund seeks to meaningfully and durably improve the lives of the global poor. Nice and straightforward, right? So, today we're going to take a walk through funding gaps, scale, and better practices. I'm specifically saying better instead of best because that means there's always room for improvement, right? All right, so let's dive into it. What would you say to fellow funders who don't currently fund in Africa but are looking to now start working on the continent? If you could take us through how and why LIF decided to start in Kenya.
I guess it's straightforward on our mission. We want to improve the lives of the global poor, and 2/3 lives here. And so it's a number game logical to be in Africa. Why Kenya? That's also kind of similar as our co-founder and managing director ran a social business for so many years in Kenya. So there's that familiarity of the environment, the network that had already been created. It made it easier for us to jump in and start there and then expand from there. But also, as you might know, Kenya holds a huge base of mature and young organizations. The infrastructures are good for funders, but also they have proven programs and a big network that it's so easy for a funder who's just starting to fund in Africa to just tap into and not have to start from scratch.
So our interim ED recently spoke on a webinar talking about philanthropic deserts in francophone Africa. For those who are not familiar, there is a bit of a difference in the funding world when it comes to where the monies are coming from and where they're going. The bulk of global funding is concentrated in Anglophone countries of the West, and Francophone countries in Africa tend to feel a bit of a loss for not being able to engage as much with funders from that part of the world because of language barriers and other structural differences. So in this webinar, which was hosted by Myriad, our interim executive director talked a lot about these issues. And so I was curious to know, Livelihood Impact Fund is focused on East and West Africa. What are your thoughts about this particular funding gap?
Right, well, I think we look at it as an opportunity. Why Africa in general? It's an amazing place. There's so much talent. There's so many opportunities. There's so much going on in the social sector. And so when we look at East Africa, like Monica said, it's such a great entry point. When we look at West Africa, we see nothing but opportunity, right? There are challenges, of course, in the same way that East Africa has a vibrant, well-connected, enabling environment. So we know the consultants that we can lean on, we know the peer funders, we know the co-working spaces, the people are very well connected. We just don't have as much of that in West Africa, not because it doesn't exist, but we aren't as plugged in. And so, as you said, some of that's language barrier. We are in a very fortunate position that our managing director, our boss Jeremy, is from Montreal, Canada. So he actually is fluent in French. We have several senior team members who are fluent in French. Aude, our COO, is French herself and American. And then our head of Mel is also fluent in French. So we have that, right? And so that doesn't mean that the challenges are erased, but it does mean that we're very willing to be there, we're willing to put in the work, and we're excited about the opportunities.
All right, so what I'm hearing here is that it could be beneficial for funders to have a diversity of languages on their team to enable engagement with different geographies. And there are also other avenues to explore countries or territories that might be a bit less familiar. So in the case of Segal Family Foundation, we co-fund the Social Impact Incubator with other funders like Partners for Equity, in which we go, right now we're in, funding in francophone West Africa, and supporting really nascent, really young, up-and-coming organizations to sort of strengthen their capacity and grow and get to a point where they can now be in a position to apply for larger grants from other funders. And it's a good entry point to get familiar with the region, get those networks and connections that you were talking about, Jana, and then expand from there. So speaking of expanding and scale, one of the defining features of LIF is the 5x return on investment stipulation as measured by beneficiaries' average income gain against program costs. Yeah. So talk to me about scaling deep versus scaling wide.
Yeah, I think it's a great question because ROI is agnostic to scale, right? It's a cost effectiveness measure. So when we're looking at, let's say, $100 in philanthropic investment, we want to see $500 in increased income for beneficiaries over 5 years. So that's asking how effective is the philanthropic investment, not how big is the total amount of the total number of beneficiaries or the total program. So we have a few partners in our portfolio where the initial investment is high and the size of the benefit is 5x that high investment amount, right? So high investment, high return. We have a number of partners in the portfolio where the investment cost is very low. I'm using the word investment and I'm talking about grants or investment. Where the cost is very low, dollars per person who's benefiting. And then the benefit is also dollars per person who's benefiting, right? And so you can see, you might call that a scalable intervention, right? Because many, many, many people can benefit from that low cost, good ROI intervention. So we try to take a nuanced view on scale. Ultimately, though, we are looking for high growth opportunities where the expected future value of that investment is high, right? And so we're willing to look at it in lots of different ways.
One thing I might add is I think a misconception, a misunderstanding of our ROI 5x index. Most of the people think what we mean is 5 times the original income that the participant had before joining the program, but that's not really it.
Okay, that's really helpful to know.
So for us is 5 times the philanthropic investment. If it costs you $100 per participant in your program, then over the period of 5 years, we would like to see that participant earning 500s more on top of what they were already earning before joining the program. So I just wanted to clear that out because people are like, 5 times the original income feels a little bit like unrealistic.
To be quite honest, that's also how I first understood it. So I'm glad we've actually talked about this because I'm sure other people might have the same question. Okay. Both of you have a 360-degree perspective on the sector, given your experiences working for implementing organizations and now for a funder. Knowing what it's like on the other side of the table, what do you think donors could be doing better in general?
There are lots.
We have time.
Where to start?
So I think there are different buckets. There are some things that could be done better and aren't because of donor capacity. One thing that was said to me many years ago was we talk all the time about capacity building for grantees when it's actually the funders who are systematically undercapacitated, right? And so a lot of the things that we do that I feel like we could even improve on at LIF, we don't do because we don't have the time, we don't have the staff. And that's our most scarce resource, is our staff time and attention. And so I think it's good to just name that it's not that donors who are well-intentioned are doing some of the bad practices on purpose. They actually just don't have the capacity, and at some level that's a choice, right? So that's part of it. I think a couple of things that I really like about LIF that we've experienced, I think, as implementers, the endless strategic planning. So I think for me, the hardest moment as the primary fundraiser for a small nonprofit was the day that a funder who had been doing diligence on us for, I want to say it was 8 or 9 months. And it was very challenging diligence. It was very detailed and difficult. Asked us to get our senior team on a call so that they could give us the results of the process. And they got us together. We were having internet problems that day, so we all had to go to a coffee shop to get on the call. And this program officer told us that we would not be getting a grant because they had changed their strategy in the meeting where our grant was supposed to be approved by their board. It was so disheartening. It was so devastating. I was the leader of this organization. I've got the rest of my senior team there. And that was, we were expecting good news. Yeah. And instead we got that news. That type of behavior it's frustrating. It's so disrespectful. And so I think one thing LIF does is we are constantly evaluating our strategy. We're constantly adapting. We're constantly trying to learn and question our own assumptions. But we don't slow down the giving in order to do that evaluation work internally. So I just, that's one thing I feel like we can be proud of, but we do plenty of other mistakes.
What I'm hearing from your first point is that scope creep tends to affect not only the implementing orgs but the funders as well, especially when you're trying to do good all the time and you're like, oh, let's support our grantees with this, let's also do this, let's also do that. And it can be easy as a funder to find yourself stretched if you're trying to do all this stuff and you don't have the time or the staff capacity. In that case, then what are the options that are available to funders to make sure their grantees are supported and getting all the good stuff that you can possibly give without it being a cost on the time of the team?
To avoid costs on the grantee side, you mean?
No, like on the part of the funder, because Jana was saying, or rather we were saying, how there's so many good things that funders would like to do or to offer, but there isn't equal capacity. And then that makes it seem like, oh, this funder is not doing this. How come that funder does this? How come this one does that, but this one doesn't do this? And then there are all these comparisons that you hear coming from the side of the grantee partners, right? Without actually knowing the inner workings of what's going on. And that it's not that we don't want to do certain things. Yeah. So in the case of Segal, for example, we will use platforms like Nonprofit Builder and have consultants to support the partners. We do all this active partnership, as you are familiar. And so I was saying, what other models perhaps could funders use to support their grantees without overexerting themselves?
I guess, like you said, using other resources that are out there, like consultants and stuff like that, will be lessen the burden on a funder to do it themselves or have internal staff to do that. And I must say, for example, one other areas that I would say funders can improve on is relationship, communication, transparency, receiving honest feedback. And mostly when you do it internally, first, it's just not true when you're receiving feedback that way. It might be a simple survey at the end of your grant the grant team or a call at the end, like, how did we do? How do you see us working with you in this partnership? But like, you're not expecting to hear true, honest feedback if you're using those kind of mechanisms. So sometimes it's not really having the team. It's not even effective using your internal team for some of the areas. I can give you an example. At the beginning of the year, we did a grantee perspective report.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and we used like about 160 grantees of ours participated in that, and it gave them an environment to really be honest on their experience with our relationship. And a month ago we received the report, and oh my God. Well, it was not all rosy. Like, there was some hard numbers there where we had to come to face reality that the levels that we thought we were at on different aspects of our relationship with grantees, it was not true. And now we had to sit down as a team, digest it, and now we are strategizing on how to do better. How can we improve our relationship with the grantees, and how? So sometimes really it's not, do I have capacity inward? You don't even need for things to work, you don't need the internal capacity. You need to look for resources out there because they work better than your internal capacity.
It's great to hear that Liv also does the grantee perception report.
It was first time.
Yeah. Oh, it was the first time? Welcome.
Well, we're so new as a funder. And I think some of the things that we learned, I think it was really interesting. Some things that we think of as a strength, like we don't want to burden the partners with extra workshops or meetings or asking them to this or that. And one thing that they came back with pretty consistently was they wanted more time, not just with us, but with each other. They really wanted us to facilitate more peer-to-peer learning, which I was really surprised by, that's something that felt important to them and helpful in the few times when we have done it. I think we're also a team of sort of mostly former doers and overachievers. So there were really great things in the report too that were really, that the partners valued. Yeah. But I think on our team we tend to just skip right to, okay, how do we improve? How do we get better?
You need to take a moment to also be like, yay, we're doing this right. Exactly. That's great.
There were some good stuff in there too. Yeah.
So I'm loving hearing this because sometimes in the philanthropic world, I think there can be that dynamic where the funder is expecting reports from the grantee partner. It's a lot of how are you doing, what are you doing, but we don't necessarily pause to evaluate ourselves and also be accountable to the grantees as well to say, okay, you know what, we want to hear from you about how we're doing. I think it's very healthy, and it would be great for more funders to also take that approach and then also talk to one another about our GPRs and our scores. I won't ask you what your score was.
A+.
Yeah, this is all in the spirit of better practices. Thank you so much for sharing that. I hear that Liv, similar to Segal, will give out a Get to Know You grant. Tell me a bit more about that.
Right. So our team really is made up of a number of former implementers, former doers. Mm-hmm. And so I think for us, we see the Get to Know You grant, which is a diligence grant, as a way to respect the time and effort of our potential partners. And so whether someone becomes a partner, enters a portfolio or not, we're very willing and very eager to make sure that we compensate them for the time that they've spent in diligence, And again, it's something that I experienced on the fundraising side, that you go through these endless diligence processes, you give and give and give, and then the answer is no, and you just feel like, was that not worth anything? And so we just wanted to correct that a little bit. And so we've seen it in both cases, a situation where a partner is not a fit ultimately or doesn't meet our 5x ROI standard. And so we do the diligence grant, and that's also an exit grant. We do it on the other side, right? If the diligence is taking longer, but we still think that there's maybe a path to partnership, we'll do the the Get to Know You grant almost as a interim funding opportunity. And then once the diligence is complete, then we give them a partnership grant.
I have two things to say. First of all, you said you're former doers. You're not former doers. You're still doing. It's a different form of doing. But yeah, the Get to Know You / Diligent grant is actually a really respectful way for funders to engage with the organizations that they're exploring, because there is actually a time cost and energy cost on the part of the orgs to prepare for the site visits and have all these things ready and documents and whatnot, and even the mental burden of just being on tenterhooks. And that's actually a really good point to mention for other funders who don't currently have that practice to consider adding it to their repertoire. Yeah.
Maybe to add on that, we don't give the Get to Know You fund to all our prospects. We only do it for those that we want to do diligence on, because we also accept diligence from other funders. If we can get enough data about your work and how you generate income, whatever is interest to us to have you as part of our portfolio, we accept it and we run with it without asking you to go through, even if it's with a Get to Know You fund. Straight right away we give you a grant and we start with you. So it's both the Get to Know You, but also accepting diligence, of which is really possible within the network of peer funders that we have and we work with.
This is a really good point, because it actually highlights another benefit of funder-to-funder collaboration as also a cost-saving measure too. That I've already done this work, you don't also have to do it. It's also easier for the prospective grantee partner as well. Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. Thank you for that clarification. Yeah. So we shall close today with a bit more of a fun side of things. And I forgot my glasses, it really bums, because I also have these fun red frames. But both of you have a really cool pair on. What is the story behind the eyeglasses initiative of Liv?
People can't see.
People can't see.
We want to make everyone be able to see.
We are the Livelihood Impact Fund. So we're focused on increasing incomes. And so we see eyeglasses. So our eyeglasses initiative, we see them. We see eyeglasses. So our eyeglasses initiative is led by our colleague, Abby Steinberg, and it's specifically focused on presbyopia, which is near vision loss. And so when you think about near vision loss, you're talking about reading glasses, but of course, reading glasses are not just for reading. And so we see them as an income support device. So if you are someone who it makes your living by sewing, picking coffee, anything where your near vision is important, then those glasses are going to help you continue to be able to make a living after the age of 40, which is when most of us, including me, start to lose that near vision. And so Abby and her team, her growing team, have been working on lots of different pilots, lots of different partnerships with major international organizations, even community health worker organizations, and with some governments on some very exciting projects to achieve a few things. One is they want in the next 10 years to distribute 45 million pairs of free reading glasses. And what they're hoping and what they expect to see is a one-to-one match from the governments that they're working with, right? So overall, that would be 90 million free pairs of glasses. They also want to make sure that through these free pairs that the market picks up on this, right? Because they're able to sell glasses for $3 per pair, the equivalent of $3 per pair, right? And that's affordable for somebody who's relying on them for their income, right? But they have to be convinced first, and that's what that first free pair is for. And so, you know, if you zoom out from that, what you're looking at is 800 million people globally who do not have access to reading glasses but would benefit. And so we see that as a solvable problem. If we can kind of convince people to use them, if we can work on some of the regulatory barriers to access to reading glasses, and then the supply chain piece, making sure that we're actually able to get those glasses into the hands of folks who can sell them to the people who need them. So,
how was it first identified as an issue? Like, there had to have been enough people saying, I can't see, I can see, I can see, for the dots to connect and say, okay, let's actually solve this.
I mean, it's incredible, right? Because the eye health space is large and robust, and it's incredible work that's been done in the eye health space. What we see is that a lot of the players are very focused on holistic eye health. So they want to solve glaucoma, cataracts, far vision for school children, right? And so when you're focused on all the problems, this one problem of readers isn't one that you can solve, right? Because now the holistic intervention is very expensive. And so by kind of carving out this one piece, that's how I think the Eyeglasses Initiative is trying to say, no, this one piece we're gonna focus on, and this is solvable. Yeah, that's the idea.
It's such a unique intervention, but more importantly, a unique thought process behind it. To identify such an issue and say if we can enable people to just see and do their work, then that translates into more income and improved livelihoods. It's all really cool. I have learned a lot today about LIF, which I think I knew about on paper, but to hear it narrated the way you have has been really insightful, and I hope our viewers also feel the same. So thank you so much for joining me today and for your time. And I will see you on these philanthropic streets.